Why most homes that suddenly sell below asking price? If you are buying or selling in Chandler, Arizona right now, that statistic alone probably sounds terrifying. A lot of buyers are wondering, is the market crashing? And many homeowners are asking, did I already miss the best time to sell? But when we actually look at historical data, nationally, Phoenix data, and right here in Chandler, Arizona, the story becomes very different. The real situation becomes very different. Now, today, we are going to break down why selling below asking price is actually normal in today's market and why 2021, 2022 were the abnormal years. We're also going to look at where buyers are still competing in Phoenix, Arizona, in Chandler, Arizona, specifically what price range that they are still have to competing with other buyers on the market. And last but not least, why pricing strategy matters more now than at any point in the history. Let's jump right into the data. The first chart right here that I'm is a little bit of confusing because it's so many colors, so many years, right? But what I want to focus you on is the orange right here. The orange is the number of homes that sold above list price. Now, when you look at this, only 23% that sold above list price in 2025. So people, and then in the other hand, that means 62% of the homes that get sold less than the asking price. So that means the market is crashing. It must be crashing because there's only 23% of the people getting the home sold more than the asking, right? But here's the thing, when you look at the historical data from 2012, 18% more than asking, 21% more than asking in 2013, 17% in 2014, 18% in 2015, 20% in 2016. Now, overall, you see that around 20% is actually a typical or normal number. Now, the only 2 years that is abnormal actually at 45% in 2021 and 41% in 2022. So when these are the period that the buyers actually aggressively offering over ask, because those are the period that they actually get only 2% interest rate, 3% interest rate. Those are the lifetime opportunity that they need to take advantage of, and therefore they're willing to offer higher. And that's as a result, you see 45%, 41%. And since these are only 3 years away, most of the people remember about this time. And when they see the 23%, only 23% sold over ask, right? And 62% that sold below ask, they're afraid of the current market. But here's the thing, that was not a normal market behavior back in 2021. It was emotional frenzy behavior because people afraid that they cannot get the 2 or 3% anymore. They have to go in very fast, right? And people are worried that the house gone. So this is very important for both buyers and sellers in Chandler, because selling below asking price does not mean that's the seller losing money or the market is weak or the home prices are crashed, right? Even 62%, the majority of the people still sell below asking price. Those are the people who has significant equity amount in their home. So they have a little bit more wiggle room. So if they want to sell it fast, sell it quick, right? They're willing to drop the price more aggressive and therefore get the home sold. So it's not a bad thing, right? Because they already have the equity, they already have the profit. It's just less profit to them. So what about Phoenix and Chandler, Arizona, right? We're gonna jump right in right here. So for Phoenix and Chandler, I do not have the green and the gray, but here's the orange is very similar. As you see here, 16% as of today in 2026. And that 16 number, only 16% of the people sell above asking price, right? Now, when you compare to 2021, 2022, you're gonna freak out because it's almost 60%. Now it's only 16, and you say, oh, that's a crash. But look, the historical data from 2014, 2012, a little bit higher here, right? But then 2014, 25, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is all around 17, even 2024, 2025, right? So 16.6% is very, very typical for the entire Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Chandler, 14.3, that number is 14.3%. And that's very typical, right? The same pattern as you see, 2021 and 2022 are the two abnormal years, right? Because it's almost go all the way up to 70% if you look at this. So that is an absolutely abnormal period. You see and more of this in Chandler and Phoenix, Arizona. So that's why comparing today's market to 2021 can actually create a wrong expectation, because 2021 and 2022 was actually some of the hottest housing market in the entire history. Today's market is not behaving like the crash market. It's actually behave more like a normal market instead of like this. Abnormal in a good way for those of you who own the house, who's selling the house in this period, right? Because you have more money in your pocket. But this is actually the normal. The 14.3% is actually normal. Even in China, buyers are no longer blindly offering over asking. So that's just a simple fact. They don't have to. Today, buyers actually negotiate more carefully. They worry about the monthly payment, so they have to negotiate to get the right price, to get the right concession amount, to be able to help with the interest rate. And the buyers are more selective in terms of homes as well, because there are plenty of options available on the market. And homes, therefore, need to be priced correctly to attract the right buyers. If you price it wrong, you will never be able to attract anyone on the market today. Talking about offering the house, I do have a buyer webinar that I'm offering for free for all the first-time home buyer as well as veteran buyers. If in this webinar, I will talk about how to qualify yourself, to qualify to get the loan, right? How to save for the down payment, how to make the monthly budget so that you can achieve the down payment. And last but not least, I will talk about what strategy you should do to make the right offer. Get into the house that is not creating financial burden for you and your family. Completely free next Thursday live on Facebook. Scan the QR code in either of the corner and come in. Enjoy. All right. So next we are going to look at how much, which area that the buyers actually still competing. To be able to do that, we're actually looking at this chart right here. It's a little bit even more confusing. On the left is the amount of total sales depend on the price range. For example, from 300 to 400, there are a total of 1,524 homes that sold in that area for the last 30 days. On the right is the percentage of those sold over ask. So we see the strongest is around 250,000 to 400,000 price range. That makes sense, right? Because here's the thing, if the home is less than 250, I'm sure it's pretty in a bad shape. Now, if it is more than that, it's going to become so not affordable. So from 250 to 400 is a right spot right there, because it's affordable. A lot of people can afford to buy a house within that range. So this is the time, this is the area, this is the price range that a lot of buyers, to be able to win the offer, to win this house, you do have to be willing to pay higher than asking. What about Chandler? Look at Chandler here. Chandler is a little bit shipped downward a little bit because the price range in Chandler is generally more expensive than Phoenix average, right? But we still see the same pattern, similar pattern from 300 to 500 is actually the top in the market. So if you are looking for a house in China from 300 to 500, you are expecting to be competing with a lot of people, and you have to be willing to pay overprice. So this is tell us a very important information. The market today is no longer one giant big market. It's different price range, different neighborhoods will behave differently, different cities will behave differently. This is why some of the buyers feel frustrated today because, hey, when you hear the market slow down, but then when you jump in to buy, you're like, why do I have to competing? Well, look, it depends on the price range. If you are competing 1 or 2 million, you don't have any competition, not a lot, right? But you are buying from 300 to 500, you are competing with a lot of people, and you have to willing, and actually a lot of people already willing to pay higher, 16% and 19%. How much they're willing to pay higher? So this is a chart for Phoenix. It's a similar chart to the above. You see that price range on here. This is the amount of listing over ask. So you see that from 300 to 400 is the highest, and you see about 5,000 over ask. In fact, this 5,000 lasting from less than 200 to all the way to around 700. And then from that is go higher. So overall, we see that around, if it is less than 700, you have to be willing to pay 500,000 more in terms of negotiation. If it is more than 700, you potentially have to even pay more, right? What about Chandler? Chandler is a little bit uneven because the amount of homes sold in Chandler is not as many as Phoenix, so we don't have a smooth curve. You see, but overall, we see from 400 to 500 people on average willing to pay 5,000 more, right? Less than 300, 8,000 more. But this is might not be accurate because there's only one home that's sold in this price range, right? 600 to 700 on average is about 12,000, right? This is not reliable as well because there's only two properties. So overall, I would say 8, 1,500, 5,000, 1,000, 12. Overall, I think it would be consistent with Phoenix market, right? Chandler, you have to be willing to pay 5,000 more. So overall, in Chandler, in Arizona, the amount of the buyer willing to pay higher than asking is about $5,000. So this is the reason why pricing so matter in today's market. To be able to sell the house, you have to have the right price, you have to have the right condition, right? To be able to marketing condition is right to be able to sell the house. This is not a fancy market, this is a strategy market. And honestly, that's where the local knowledge becomes extremely very, very important. If you're thinking about buying a house in Chandler or any other area around Arizona, and you want to understand where's the buyers, where the sellers are still competing, where the negotiation opportunity still exists, how to price correctly for the house that you like, feel free to reach out, jump in onto the webinar. I will present those information completely free for you and take on any question that you may have. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.